Hey everybody, I'm Giles and this is JDM World. Have you ever heard of DIY Sound Group? Well, it's a cool website where you can buy kits for just about any kind of speaker you want. Towers, surrounds, bookcase, subwoofers. If you need it, they have it. And today we've got the Volt 10 kit from those guys. So take a look after the break and we're going to build this thing soup to nuts. To get started building the kit, you need a few tools. And by few, I mean really just a handful. Most importantly, you're going to need some wood glue. And I use Titebond 3. It takes a little bit longer for this to set up, so it's easier for me to deal with the build. Beyond that, it's nice if you have a brush that you can use to spread the glue out. You can use your finger or you can use a paper towel, whatever. But this brush is pretty nice, and this is the cool Titebond brush that cost a lot of money. There are lots of other options that are less expensive. Beyond that, clamps. If you don't have any clamps, this is a great excuse to go buy a million clamps. Get 1 foot clamps, 2 foot clamps, 3 foot clamps, 4 foot clamps, get band clamps, and I'm going to do a video about band clamps because they're cool. But for this build, I think that I'm likely to use up to 8 clamps at any one given time, and I'm using 24-inch and 36-inch clamps for this effort. I think I could get away with just 24-inch clamps if I had enough of them, but I've got a mixed set. So this is what you need to get started, and we're going to get started right now. Now that everything is glued together, we need to finish this box. So I started out by sanding off some of the edges. I didn't get it glued together just perfectly, and there was a little excess glue, so I sanded all that off. Now on the front of this box, on that short end, the way that the baffle is milled, it isn't actually flush with the front face, so I sanded that down with the circular sander. To paint the box, I use Duratex. This stuff is bulletproof and it goes on really easy. I rolled this on, so this is roller grade Duratex, and I used a flat foam roller to get that on. There are textured rollers that you can use, but this method of rolling it on makes the texture a little bit lower. Then on top of that, I sprayed on a couple of layers of flat black spray paint. That gives it a nice orange peel look. Let's talk a little bit about binding posts. This is a part that often is skipped over in videos. And before I did this, I really didn't know what I was doing, right? Basically, when you buy a binding post, the tap-in style, and you'll see what I mean in just a minute, all you need to do is drill a couple of holes that meet the correct diameter. And for the Daytons that I used, that was 1/4 inch. And the binding post itself is a little bit wider than 1/4 inch, so you need to use a hammer to get it in. But what you'll do is drill those 2 holes, take all the screws and other pieces off, and drop the binding post in as far as they go, and then pound them in with hammers. Then all of the bolts will be used on the other side to hold your wiring in place. With the box finished, we're now into the final stretch. So we need to cable up this crossover. There are going to be 3 cables going into or out of the crossover, however you want to think about it. So first, we need to connect those binding posts to the crossover. So I use those hoops, and I'm going to bolt those to the back of the binding post. Then the cables from the binding post will run to the inputs on the crossover. Now you can see that we have to add the little standoffs to the bottom of that crossover. That will allow us to bolt it onto one of the internal sides of the box using the 4 included screws. Once you have that crossover ready, then there are 2 pieces of cabling left to deal with. So we need the cable that's going to connect our tweeter and the cable that's going to connect the woofer. So basically these will screw in to the crossover itself, and then we're going to add some quick disconnects onto the other end with a little bit of heat shrink to make it look nice, and then those will push directly onto the speakers themselves. From a materials point of view, I use speaker cable from Amazon Basics. It's just a standard 16 gauge bulk cable. The binding posts are from Dayton Audio, and I picked those up from Parts Express. I'll have a link to that in the bottom. And the quick disconnects I picked up from Amazon. I'll have a link to those as well. And that is how you build a Volt 10 surround sound speaker. Hopefully the video has been informative. If you like the video, please smash that subscribe button and give us a like as well. Links to all the products used will be in the comments below. Also, a link to our new Patreon is there as well. Check it out to learn about additional content and our monthly giveaways.